What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to the #1 college football show. I am your host, RJ Young. Thank you for watching on the Fox Sports app, YouTube, or listening wherever you get your podcast. Today on the show, we have our USFL Player of the Week interview with Michigan Panthers outside linebacker Breeland Speaks. That was outstanding. I can't wait for you to hear that. We're also going to get back to another valued feature and segment here at the #1 college football show, Diamond in the Rough, where I'm going to tell you once again about an assistant coach that you probably know about, but we're going to go in depth about what's coming in 2023 for him. But first, it's Colorado's kind of day. Okay. Colorado kind of been in the news, I don't know, since January, but lately it's making news because Shilo Sanders, that is the son of Deion Sanders, officially announced his transfer to Colorado. He's graduated from Jackson State, so he'll be a grad transfer at Colorado, which also is going to help them tremendously. And as far as their scholarship distribution, he entered the portal on December 17th last year, which is really just a long time ago to enter the portal, but also makes clear that you're not playing at Jackson State next year. I thought the most interesting news to come out of this is that he's going to wear his father's number 21, and that's not a small thing. I got to believe that you wearing 21, you got Sanders on your back, you have to play like that, dude. As a safety, that's going to be asking a lot. But in 2 years, he posted 59 tackles, 12 passes defended, 5 interceptions. Jackson State went 12-3 over his 2 seasons on campus, back-to-back SWAC championships. Shilo is also the 48th new transfer among like 70 guys that have transferred in and out overall. That's a lot of change, but that's what you expect when somebody is overhauling the offense and defense the way that, well, Prime is overhauling all of Colorado. But this also is news that comes out of what is larger news for college football, in that Colorado set a record for selling out its season tickets in April. I don't think that I've been alive for Colorado selling out season tickets in April. That is what Deion Sanders has brought to Colorado. Now, there's also a lot that could go in here first about what that means, and as far as you're not going to be able to get seats. But I thought it was really interesting, the comparison for what seats are going for individual tickets at Colorado this year. So as of Thursday morning last week, so this news or this nugget is a week old, but I think it's still very important to address here. The lowest price ticket for a Colorado home opener that is against Nebraska this year is $450, according to Ticketmaster. The cheapest pair of tickets, like together, would be $471 a piece. All right. For those that, want to get a little bit closer to the field, say the 100 level section, if you're familiar, that the closer to the field, the closer to the 50-yard line, the more expensive the tickets, right? You're looking at $576 a piece. That's remarkable. It's remarkable because it's Colorado football. The reason it's remarkable is not just because it's Colorado football, but because you can get the cheapest ticket for Georgia's season opener this year for $87. And they've won back-to-back national championships in a football crazed state. That is what people want to see, is Prime. He is the draw. And it ain't just me talking about it. It's people that are actually putting down their money going, no, I want to see what Buffalo football is all about in 2023. I mean, the asking price for tickets at Folsom Stadium is even more stupid. They cost more than seeing the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs play their opener against the Detroit Lions. It's 22 times more expensive than 4 tickets to Nebraska's home opener, and pricier than Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, which was an all-timer. Boston just couldn't pull it out because, well, I don't want to turn this into a basketball podcast, but you can't be soft going at Bam Adebayo. You got to do more than chuck up threes. I'm 5'5". I know that. Either you want to give him to work or you don't want to give him to work. All right. Anyway, according to a recent report by Business Insider, the average mortgage price of a house in Nebraska is $1,491 a month. So you could get a family of 4 into the stadium to watch the Buffaloes play Nebraska for that much. It's ridiculous. Also, housing prices is a whole thing, right? Mortgage prices is a whole thing. Like, they're different in California than they are in Nebraska. They're different in Washington than they are in Oklahoma. So I'm looking at $1,491. I'm going, yeah, and other people, like, I would be dying to pay $1,491 a month for my rent or my mortgage. Again, it's all about where you live and what these things mean to you. And they mean a lot in Boulder, Colorado, all of a sudden. This also is news that comes out weeks after, I say 2 weeks after, Pat Narduzzi did what Pat Narduzzi does, which is castigate people for going to the transfer portal and getting players because he don't like it, especially when, those people were playing for him and now are playing for someone else. But he just doesn't like the way that Prime and others have gone about the transfer portal. I think rating rosters is just part of it. Matter of fact, Mac Brown said it best. Kiss your kids before they go to sleep at night because tomorrow morning they could be in the portal. I love this. You're always recruiting. You're always recruiting. You're always recruiting. And if you develop a dude into a stud, you're going to have to start treating him like a stud. I look at my job and I look at other jobs like racehorses, okay? Have you ever seen the pampered treatment that a racehorse gets? You understand because they need that racehorse to go win races, all right? You do what you got to do to make the horse happy. And if you can be happy somewhere else, be happy somewhere else. Now, on top of all this, let's not bury that Colorado has dudes, especially at skill positions. Shilo Sanders, out in McCaskill, the fourth, transfers in from Houston after a freshman year that was outstanding. 961 rush yards at Houston and one of the better players in the American Athletic Conference in 2021. Jimmy Horn, also outstanding wide receiver. Travis Hunter's going to go both ways. You know about him. And Tim Brewster is going to find a tight end. Like, I don't know how to tell people what Tim Brewster can provide the offense, except to say he's one of the first hires that Mac Brown made at North Carolina and helped them recruit the dudes that they needed to put together the kind of teams that were, frankly, going out there and getting it done. Daz Newsome, among others, Sam Howell, Drake May, and then the guy that developed one of the better tight ends that we've seen over the last 15 years in Kyle Pitts at Florida. He's going to find a guy, and all of a sudden you're going to see 4 or 5 dudes that are able to catch passes from what was one of the better players in FCS all of last year. Which brings me to our next segment, Diamond in the Rough. You'll be amazed to find out we're going to talk about a Colorado assistant. This one is Colorado offensive coordinator Sean Lewis. And there's a reason why Prime went away from Brett Bartoloni to go get Sean Lewis from Kent State. All right. So there's a lot here that I want to unpack, but I want to go at it as quickly and as efficiently as I can. So the first thing to know about Lewis is that the offense is going at warp speed and it wants to put up a lot of points and a lot of yardage. As a matter of fact, Lewis said playing in his offense is like riding a bike down a volcano that's erupting. Yeah, I like going fast. Me and Ricky Bobby got that in common. I want to go fast. I've been playing this way for over a decade now. You, me, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Lewis Hamilton, we all want to go fast, and I'm excited to see what this offense can do because it looks a lot like what Mark Whipple was doing at Pittsburgh in 2021 with Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison. You'll also know that Kenny Pickett, first-round draft pick and a Heisman contender. Jordan Addison won the Biletnikoff Award in 2021 before transferring away from Pat Narduzzi's Pittsburgh, go play at USC, and then he got drafted in the first round. I mean, the offense has the capacity to function like an F1 car with DRS wide open down the straight. Pitt won an ACC title in 11 games running this similar offense, all right? It's also a guy that is on his come up in a hurry. So he's a former head coach at Kent State. At one point, he's the youngest head coach in all of college football. As a matter of fact, when he was hired away from Syracuse, he was 31 years old. For context, Lincoln Riley was 34 when he was hired at Oklahoma. And like Riley, he got started coaching early. As soon as he finished, get this, Wisconsin in 2007, where he showed up as a quarterback and was converted to a tight end. Wild, right? So you're also talking about a guy that got his first position coaching job at Nebraska Omaha in 2010, went right to putting together wide receivers. After stops at Akron and as a GA in Eastern Illinois, where he was position coach, I think Jimmy Garoppolo had even come through there while he was there. He received his first chance to be an offensive coordinator at Bowling Green in 2014. Didn't stay there long. Dino Babers hires him away to Syracuse, where he started to put together the kind of offense that gets my eyes and your eyes going, okay, so what are they doing? Now, it's shrouded because they went 4-8 in 2017, but his offense put up 40 or more points in 3 games and knocked off defending national champion Clemson 27-24. People forget that, right? That same year, they averaged 456 yards of offense and 24 first downs per game. That's ridiculous. Also, fast-paced, right? They got off nearly 88 plays per game, right? He also had, again, a great wide receiver in Steve Ishmael, who broke the single-season program record for catches in a season with 105 and had 1,300 yards receiving. You see how I am making the reference to Jordan Addison, and also why you, like I, should be looking at Jimmy Horn going, how many passes is that wide receiver going to catch? Because it could be upwards of 80 or 90 balls in 2023. Okay, so after he gets to Kent State, all they did was turn up and go show out, right? So he's 24-31, which I understand is a losing record, but I'm looking at the offensive side of the ball, and they were really outstanding. During their abbreviated 2020 season, Kent State led the nation in total offense with 600 yards a game and scored 49.8 points per game. His starting quarterback last year, Colin Schlee, is still in a battle to be the starting quarterback at UCLA right now, okay? Dante Cephas, who is joining Penn State as perhaps their first or second target on what expects to be a team that competes for the Big Ten championship, that dude had 82 passes caught for 1,240 yards and 9 TDs in 2021. The offense is going to work. The offense is going to go, and Sean Lewis is going to get real looks to be a Power 5 head coach in a very short amount of time. This thing gets off in a hurry at Colorado, and it could. They got the not defending. They have the national champion runner-up, Texas Christian, when they open their season in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're all going to watch it on Big Fox. They have another big game against Nebraska that I made reference to earlier. And then you're talking about Pac-12 play. So if they go and they win their first 2 games and they beat USC, you're going to be talking about Colorado the way that I'm talking about Colorado, and you're going to be talking about Sean Lewis the way that I'm talking about Sean Lewis. Again, we do these things in the summer. People forget them, but you listen to the show each and every week, and I appreciate you for doing so. All right, now let's get to our USFL Player of the Week interview with Michigan Panthers defensive end outside linebacker Breeland Speaks. I'm pleased to be joined by Michigan Panthers outside linebacker and outstanding defensive player Breeland Speaks. Breeland, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good, brother. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time, especially after your week 1 debut with the Panthers, where you had 7 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble against the Memphis Showboats, I believe. Like, is that kind of how you scripted, dog?
It was actually the Houston Gamblers.
But that's right. My fault.
Honestly, I didn't know how I was going to play in that game. That was honestly my first game in 4 years, actually being on the field playing, not just practice squad. So a lot of emotions going through my mind pre-game and all of that, but just happy I was able to do what I did on game day. Well, was very surprised with what I did, but hey, I'm just happy it was me who did it.
I'm glad that you corrected me, because I already slotted your first USFL game being in Memphis. And Memphis might as well be home base for Ole Miss, which is where you went to college. So I apologize for that, and I thank you for catching me on the Gamblers and not the Showboats, but it's the Memphis hub. And I say all that to say, hey, man, you was a force out there at Ole Miss. Now, I want to backtrack just a little bit and make sure everybody understands, but like, you were playing defensive tackle in the NFL at 313. They got you listed at 285, and you standing up. So explain to me how that has come into fruition for you and what the coaches saw that allowed for you to be basically up there in a 9 technique wrecking people.
Basically, it was our GM, Mr. Steve Kaiser. He called me back in December. They were basically looking for a guy to come up here and play defensive end. And it just so happens when Steve called me, he honestly was surprised when he called. He was like, "Oh, Breeland, you're available. Okay, cool. Bet. Let's roll. We'll send you a contract tomorrow." And it literally happened that fast. But getting here and being with Coach Mike Nolan, which was with me in Dallas, being with a few of the guys that I play with on the Dallas practice squad or at the Dallas team, it was actually honestly a right fit for me, and we could tell so far through the season that it actually has been the perfect fit for me, and these guys honestly just believing in me and my ability to play.
Yeah, Money. I mean, you putting in the kind of work that could lead Defensive Player of the Year in this league, which is no small feat. I'm here to tell you, but like, I want to get to 39 tackles and 7 sacks as outside linebacker Panthers, right? We got that. But again, I got to tell people, when I first heard Breeland Speaks' name, It was at Callaway High in Jackson, Mississippi, stand-up Rankin County. Now, it's one thing to be a 4-star defensive tackle. It's another thing to be a 4-star defensive tackle who had 114 tackles. Now, explain to me and to the rest of us, quite honestly, how you end up with over 100 tackles with your hand on the ground?
I run to the football. that's my key to victory. Has been for a very long time. Just basically play linebacker some in high school as well. So just that ability to always keep that motor going, have that motor always running, never allowing it to run hot, being in shape enough to be able to play every snap if need be. So that's really what I attribute being able to make those type plays, because when you get into those number of tackles, that's just not somebody who's making the regular tackles on the line or behind the backfield. That's person who has to be going down the field and chasing the ball on a consistent basis to put up those type numbers. So that's one thing that I definitely pride myself in.
And it has followed you throughout your career. Like, it's one of those things where if you see Breeland on the other side of the line of scrimmage, don't stop running until you're out of bounds, because he is chasing you. And the reason I can say that is you were the second leading tackler, I believe, on the 2017 Ole Miss Rebels at defensive tackle again, which again is wild. But like, it became clear to me that you was a dude when you went up to Ole Miss. And it's not just that, you know, you go up to Ole Miss, it's that y'all beat Alabama not once, but twice. And then I want to ask where this quote comes from. This quote is always up there with Andrew Jackson of West Kentucky. When talk about Kentucky, talk about they supposed to be SEC. You over here talk about it's how Bama fans think that they should beat Auburn every year. It's kind of like we're supposed to beat Mississippi State every year. We're supposed to beat Bama. We're supposed to beat LSU. Now, it's one thing to say that after a win in Oxford. It's another thing to go to Tuscaloosa, double up, and then be able to say that. So where does that energy, especially during that really cool run with the Hugh Freeze era, come from?
It was basically the team chemistry. We had guys on the field like Laquan Treadwell, Larry Thompson, Evan Ingram, Quincy Adeboyejo, Trey Elson. You have like really like a group of guys that Hugh Freeze brought together who recruited, and also who are still there, that just bought into that team aspect. And that defense that year, those 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, that defense, nobody really believed that we could stop anybody. And we had to go out and prove each and every game that, hey, we're in the SEC just like everybody else. Everybody might call us the little brother, but we come to play regardless. And it was very fun playing with those teams, definitely.
Well, hey, look, dog, the SEC West ain't ever been a joke. And it's one thing to get the win against Coach Saban because you keep the ball, right? To do it twice in one career. I mean, I believe it's just like y'all and maybe Auburn, I think, at this time. I mean, LSU getting there. Yeah. So I can probably go down the list a couple times now that he's been coaching for about 15, 16 years. But it also underscores, just like you said, the talent that was on that team. Robert Kimdichie, Denzel Kimdichie, Channing Ward, C.J. Johnson, Mike Hilton, and you mentioned Trey Elston, who is playing defensive back with the New Jersey Generals. What is your favorite memory of playing at Ole Miss, especially during that heyday of 2014, 2015?
Favorite memory? To be honest, it will honestly have to be that my sophomore win in Alabama. And I think Drake had just came out with the song Back to Back. Oh my goodness. It was a different time. I think we were doing great. Mississippi State was doing great at the time. Like, it was just really a magical time for Mississippi sports. And I want to say we had just got on the cover, us at Mississippi State just got on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So really, that was just honestly a magical time to be in Mississippi.
Hey, back to back like I'm on the cover of Lethal Weapon. Back to back like I'm Jordan 96, 97. Yeah, I'm with you. I got you. But also in there, you mentioned it, right? That heyday where I found it interesting that finish that quote that you gave is couldn't get past Arkansas, which is wild to think about, right? Because that's how deep the SEC West was during that time. It's like we can beat Alabama twice. We can't get past Arkansas.
I never beat Arkansas at Ole Miss. In my career, I never beat Arkansas. There was one thing I was honestly looking forward to when we played Memphis, but it just so happened Alex Collins was on the IR at the time, and I was like, I got to get him back, man, because that it was like a 3rd and 38, 4th and 38. I never forget that play. I will never forget that play.
His freshman year was something else entirely. And there's Arkansas dudes all over this league. So you can go hit up on Cole Kelly was there for a while. And Michael Pettaway was there for a while. You know, Kerry Angeline was there for a while. But that also brings me back to the USFL and kind of what this league has done for players like you. You got drafted 2nd round by the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And things did not go the way that you had envisioned, even down to a 4-game suspension and a knee injury. What did you learn about yourself after that brief period in the NFL? And how much do you want to get back to the NFL?
I think the major thing that I learned during that stint was learning how to be a professional, doing the things necessary to make sure your body is good, to make sure you know the scheme, to make sure all T's are crossed and I's dotted. I think that was one of the major things that I look forward to having this opportunity, was probably just being able to go about my work as a pro, being able to do the things necessary to be successful. And I honestly feel like I've been able to do that in this league with having that opportunity that Mr. Steve gave me. So that's one thing that I wanted to make sure I did when I got this opportunity, was just to continue to be a pro, do the things necessary. And honestly, it's been fun. And what was your second question?
How much would you like to get back to the NFL?
That's number one goal. Definitely the number one goal. Really feel like with things I've done so far, really feel like I've gained that confidence back to understand that, yeah, Breeland, you probably can play a little bit of football. So let's probably try to get back to the league as quick as you can.
Well, the quickest way to do that is to be on a football team that is winning. Y'all got a win after a 4-game skid. You're still in the hunt to make the North playoffs, and 3 weeks left. I think you could do it. Breeland Speaks, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank y'all, man. Happy to be here.
My thanks again to Breeland Speaks for joining us here on the #1 College Football Show. And that is going to do it for this episode of the #1 College Football Show. My thanks as always to our lead producer, Tyler Wojak. Our senior producer is Catherine Donnelly. Our director is Kyle Holly. Our social media maven is Javion Duncan. Our production assistant is Kiara Santana. Our lead of screening is Jack Coakley. And I'm the host, RJ. We will see y'all next Wednesday. Yes.